On February 28, 2026, the era of human-led combat ended as algorithmic warfare took control of the skies over Tehran. At 9:45 a.m. local time, the world watched as a new kind of conflict unfolded, one where machines made the decisions and human lives were weighed against the efficiency of code. This was Operation Epic, Fury, the first truly AI-native military campaign in history. The scale of the explosions was matched only by the precision of the technology. While the public followed the news, the United States military was deploying swarm intelligence that had only recently left the laboratory. This operation marked the first time the Pentagon utilized a banned AI model to identify targets just hours after a presidential executive order had blacklisted the software company. Most ironically, the strike was carried out using clone drones, which were American-made copies of the very weapons Iran had pioneered. The future of warfare has arrived, and it is defined by autonomous systems that treat aircraft as disposable ammunition. The primary actors in this new theater of war were the Lucas drones, which stands for Low-Cost Unmanned Combat Attack System. These are one-way kamikaze drones designed for maximum impact at a minimal price point. Each unit costs approximately $35,000, a contrast to the $1.3 million price tag of a traditional Tomahawk cruise missile. By reverse engineering the Iranian Shahed 136, the United States turned its adversary design against them. U.S. Central Command described this as American-made retribution. Instead of risking a $100 million stealth jet, the military launches hundreds of these cheap autonomous drones that are modular, resistant to jamming, and capable of coordinating with one another in real time. If half the swarm is destroyed by air defenses, the remaining drones automatically redistribute their targets to ensure the mission is completed. They are not treated like aircraft, they are treated like bullets. This shift represents a change in how the Pentagon views its inventory, moving away from precious platforms toward consumable munitions that can be produced by the thousands. As the drones were crossing the border, a political scandal was brewing in Washington. On the eve of the attack, the president had ordered all federal agencies to cease using the Claude AI, labeling the tech company as misaligned with national interests. However, as the strikes were being carried out, reports surfaced that U.S. Central Command was still actively using the software because the AI was too deeply embedded in the mission architecture to be removed without risking failure. The military relied on this banned AI for intelligence assessments, target identification, and real-time battlefield simulations, while the developers of the AI had previously established red lines to prevent their technology from being used for lethal autonomous operations. Those boundaries vanished in the heat of combat. The Pentagon needed the most sophisticated cognitive engine available to coordinate 200 fighter jets alongside a massive drone swarm. For several critical hours, that engine was a piece of software the commander-in-chief had officially prohibited. This highlights a growing tension between political oversight and the practical requirements of high-speed algorithmic warfare. Before the first kinetic strike landed, the battlefield had already been prepared by U.S. Cyber Command and Space Command. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, revealed that these units were the first movers deploying what is now being called an electronic iron curtain. Using non-kinetic effects, they effectively blinded and deafened the Iranian regime. Communication networks were disrupted, and sensor arrays were flooded with false data. By the time Iranian air defense operators realized they were under attack, their systems had already been compromised by AI-driven cyber strikes. This digital lobotomy allowed a combined force of Israeli and American jets to operate over major cities with zero casualties on the Allied side. The Iranian military was fighting a ghost, unable to see incoming threats because the software controlling their radars had been subverted by algorithms that move faster than any human operator could track. The opening salvo, known as Operation Genesis, targeted a high-level leadership meeting in the heart of Tehran. The strike successfully eliminated the supreme leader, the Secretary of the National Security Council, and the top commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This was not a traditional military engagement, it was a surgical decapitation of the entire regime. In the chaotic hours that followed, Iran attempted to retaliate by launching hundreds of ballistic missiles at Allied bases in Jordan, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. They even targeted international airports and moved to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a move that immediately halted a significant portion of the world oil traffic. We are now witnessing a full-scale regional conflict where AI-native defenses are being tested against mass-produced drone swarms every single hour. The global economy is reeling. Operation Epic Fury has proven that the age of traditional slow-moving warfare is dead. We have entered an era defined by consumable munitions and embedded artificial intelligence. The Pentagon is already moving to replace restricted software with more aggressive models from other providers to ensure unrestricted access for future military purposes. The red lines that once governed the ethical use of AI in combat have been erased by the necessity of victory. This is the realization of a new military doctrine that prioritizes tailored, overwhelming force driven by the fastest algorithms on Earth to achieve total deterrence. The question facing the world is no longer whether we should allow AI to participate in our wars, but whether we still have the power to stop it once the machines have taken the lead. The transition to algorithmic combat suggests that the human element in the decision-making loop is rapidly becoming a bottleneck that the military can no longer afford. Thanks for watching.